They are the people that make a city work. The men and women that fix the facilities, maintain the vehicles, and keep the streets safe for driving. The unseen heroes of the maintenance world, in a city that holds its standards higher than most. Now, the untold story of the Operations Services Department and why it is a modern marvel. 64,000 people call the city of Pleasanton home. And it's no wonder why. The beautiful parks, historic downtown area, and well-maintained facilities have landed the town's 63rd in Money Magazine's Top 100 Places to Live, a prestigious ranking for a small town with its roots planted in ranching and agriculture.
The feel of the town was just a great community. Everybody knew everybody. You felt safe. You didn't have to lock your doors. You could run and play. You came home at dinner time. Your mom wasn't worried where you were. It was just a safe, clean, friendly environment. In the last 50 years or so, Pleasanton has changed greatly. There's so many more people. There's so many more homes. There has been a lot of things lost that we used to do as youth around here, as far as playing in the creek, going hunting just on the outskirts of town. But you have to go with progress, and I would think that Pleasanton has really progressed very well, and I like what I see.
In the late 1980s, the city planners set into motion what would become the reason you are all here today. The creation of the Support Services Division would bring many changes to the way business was conducted in the city of Pleasanton.
Before Support Services Division was created, a lot of the workload would be spread out throughout the city departments. And everybody was doing a little bit here, a little bit there, and you weren't quite sure of what was going to get done or who was going to do it. So there was always a little bit of chaos along the way before the Support Services Division was created.
Each department had their own type of maintenance. We had recreation custodians, we had building custodians, we had a mechanic shop off on their own. And one time, city management decided to put us all under one roof and created support services and brought all the custodial, the building maintenance, and the mechanics all under one shop and called it Support Services.
The new department would soon find itself in charge of special projects, a category of work that didn't seem to have a home in any other department, taking on everything from restoring a historic sign to closing a hardware store. The more challenging the project, the better.
One of the city's icons is the arch sign. It says Pleasanton. It's lit up with neon. And it was showing its age. And if something wasn't done, we were probably going to lose that icon through the elements of weather and just age and time.
A challenge like that or a project like that could be a real career-ending project, especially my career. Seeing I was only here for 4 years, I decided to go to the city manager and say, hey, I want to take down your arch. And, it's something that if it goes wrong, it really goes wrong. But, we had full faith in the support services staff, our contractors and our vendors that helped us, supplied us the material. Contractor was there at 3 o'clock in the morning, taking the sign down. But more importantly, we planned this whole project out with the help of the sign shop and the streets people.
We were involved in the restoration of the arch on Main Street. We provided a life-size mock-up to replace the sign as it was being refurbished. Now, it was quite a bit of a challenge to replicate this sign just due to the size, and at the time we didn't have the proper machinery, so we had to really sit back and look at this thing to figure out what would be structurally sound, knowing that it was going to rain and it would be hanging up there for a pretty lengthy amount of time.
The project encompassed a 2-week process from start to finish. First of all, the sign had to be removed delicately, and we did that in the middle of the night or early in the morning, so nobody would really catch us doing that. Once it was down, we stripped the sign of everything, all the electrics, the neon light sockets, all the fasteners, and the face of the sign was porcelain, and it was chipped up because I think a truck that had a tall load had hit it. So everything was pretty shabby except the white porcelain. That was original to the sign and still is today. And how we managed to keep that is we masked off all the elements of the faces of the sign and left the white porcelain to remain intact and painted everything around it. In the middle of the morning, we erected the sign back up in its place without the public being aware of it.
It was a great success, and I still have my job, so I guess it went well.
Colin Hardware was an absolute, just a throwback in time. When it came to the city of Pleasanton, I'd never been down Main Street, and to walk into that hardware store, it was just an absolute delight to be in a hardware store that had so much history.
Colin Hardware was just like your typical hardware store in some small town that you could go in there at any given time and see the characters of Pleasanton. They always ran through that hardware store.
Colin Hardware was this hardware store that seemed small on the outside, but once you entered, it just had this aura of, there was just history there. Anything that you were looking for, you would end up finding. The first step into the establishment, the floor creaked, and it was this original building built in the turn of the century, and with the squeaking floor and the personnel that were just eager to help out, Colin Hardware just was a place you would never forget.
In 2004, we threw a going-away party for Gary, being that the store, Colin Hardware, was closing. And we actually had the going-away party inside the store. We had brought in tables and chairs and set everything up. And Gary was actually picked up by Fire Station 1 and 4. And they picked him up at his house, brought him in, dropped him off at the front door, and it was a sight to see.
And we had several speakers. We had some gifts to give him that were personalized. It was just a great way to say goodbye to an old friend.
There's one project that really shows the dedication that the vendors and contractors that serve the city of Pleasanton have for the town and the people in it. In March 2003, with contributions from vendors and services donated from contractors, a customized fire department-themed Wolf stove was designed, fabricated, and shipped to the newly renovated FDNY Station 1010 in Manhattan. The stove was a gift to the city of New York to celebrate the reopening of the World Trade Center fire station at Ground Zero.
The Wolf Stove project was, I think, something near and dear to everybody's heart throughout the country. After the Trade Center was attacked in 2001, there was a firefighter from New York touring the country, came out to, I believe it was the Firehouse Arts, old fire station number 4, saw the stove and was impressed with it, and just made a quick comment that, boy, that'd be really nice to have something like that in the new station when we rebuild. Well, the support services staff took it upon themselves as a challenge to make this happen.
It was a project that I think the whole crew took great pride in participating in.
First of all, we disassembled the stove into different pieces, and some of those pieces were sent to Moss Brothers to be powder coated, fire engine red. Once those pieces were brought back to us, we had Cliff Tinsley come and stripe it by hand, and he added gold leafing, and it just was a beautiful, beautiful job. We dressed up the backsplash with a solid brass Maltese cross that was machined from a local machine shop, and it said FDNY Station 10.
One day they decided to get everybody that contributed to the rebuilding of that fire station and bring them out for lunch. They invited several from the city, and Tom Fulham and myself, we flew out and accepted an award from the fire department to the city for our support. So it's about 6 or 7 years now it's been up and running, maybe a little more, maybe 8 years, and we still have visitors going back to look at it.
In April of 2007, the Support Services Division acquired the Sign Shop as part of a reorganization. the small shop went from relative obscurity to one of the most diverse and creative places to work, almost overnight.
Well, the sign shop has changed tremendously. It's night and day since the reorg. When we first took over the sign shop, they were basically just making street signs, regulatory signs. We became a little creative. We financed a few pieces of equipment, let them become a little more creative. They've taken over the downtown banner program. All the banners you see throughout the city, for the most part, are made by the sign shop, where in the past we used to go out and contract that service out.
I think we were work request driven to just do traffic maintenance and not anything that involved banners or posters or pictures. Everything was just signs and markings, and that was it. No special projects. Well, we didn't have half of the equipment we have now. Definitely not half of the materials that we have now. We'd have to steal and borrow and beg and just kind of make things up to do most of the work that we did. Where now as we have tons of material and a lot better equipment to work with. Well, we definitely can do just about anything that we want to now, or anything that anybody asks for. Definitely doing a lot more interesting work that we never even thought of doing before.
In 2008, the city consolidated the management of the maintenance section of the Public Works Department and formed the Operations Services Department. The new department would give the city the flexibility to respond to the ever-changing needs of the community and create better interagency coordination.
It put all the maintenance for the city in one location, with a director out there supporting the maintenance workers and the facility, giving us better support to the downtown organization. And it created a tighter knit network, knowing that our director was present with us every day instead of downtown.
The reorg has been very positive. Now that we're all under one umbrella, the communication and the exchange of information is a lot faster, and what it leads to is better customer service. And I think the morale has really improved because we're all working towards a common goal, whereas before we really didn't know each other. So now it's almost like, if you don't mind me saying this, we're becoming more of a family.
In December of 2001, the very first vendor luncheon was held, with the idea of having good food with good people and saying thank you to all those who serve the city. From its small beginnings, the event has grown over the years to include more than 200 vendors, contractors, and suppliers.
So to be in one room with all our vendors at once and to be able to thank them for all their services throughout the year, or this year, is something that's kind of neat. Most of the time we don't get to thank them at all. They go into a building, they do their job, we don't even see them. And to be able to thank them for pulling us out of different jams throughout the year is something that's really neat.
Sometimes we don't have the time that it takes to really thank our vendors and contractors when we're doing any kind of service. So I think the vendor party is paramount to be able to say thank you so much for such a job well done throughout the year. And I believe this is our 10-year anniversary. So thank you very much.
We have a great budget and we get a lot of work done, but to be able to have everybody in the room and tell them thank you and that they are part of this team. A lot of praise is given to the city employees for all the work they do. People say what a great city this is, but it's so important for us, support services and Operations Services Department, to take the time out and thank our vendors, because a lot of this couldn't be done without them. And no matter what it is, we call our vendors or we call our contractors, they always respond and they're always right on the spot to help us out. And they're the ones, along with our staff, that make Pleasanton what it is today.
Over the last 10 years, one of the most rewarding jobs that the Operations Services Department has been tasked with is forging relationships with all of you, our vendors, contractors, and suppliers. Knowing that we can call on you in the event of an emergency to help them with whatever is needed really shows your character. And after all, the City of Pleasanton is a community of character. Happy holidays from all of us, and thank you for helping us celebrate 10 years of working together and making the Operations Services Department what it is today, a modern marvel.